because you don't need to go to any astrologer to find solutions or fixes to your life. Ketu Mahadasha had your hand like this. Venus Mahadasha had your hand like this. And Sun Mahadasha has your hand like this. But now is the time to shine. Now is the time for your soul to come out in a more powerful self. This is going to be the golden period of your Sun Mahadasha, so to speak. Hi guys, welcome back to Dev Astrology. We are doing a series of the Mahadashas and today we're going to be talking about the Sun Mahadasha. What does Sun define? Sun depicts your soul. Sun denotes your father. Sun denotes the vitality in your life. Sun also denotes the energy that you have within yourself. Sun depicts the physical self. Sun also showcases the kingly behavior that you carry. Sun is the royalty. It's your pride. It's your confidence. So what do we expect in this 6.5 years of Sun Mahadasha that you are going to encounter in your life? Well, the Sun Mahadasha is following right after the 20-year-long Venus Mahadasha. Hopefully you've had a chance to watch the Venus Mahadasha videos that I had released a couple of days back. Starting from Ketu Mahadasha, which had a very turbulent period, to Venus Mahadasha, which gives you those 20 years of span of your life where you recuperate from the pains of Ketu and evolve into a much more confident individual living much more luxurious, comfortable, satisfied life. But now is the time to shine. Now is the time for your soul to come out in a more powerful self. Now is the time for you to behave like the king or the queen inside you. So what does Sun, which depicts so many facets, being a king, your soul, your father, the royalty, the confidence, the physical form itself, the vitality, what does Sun want to do during this Mahadasha? Well, it wants to offer all of these things to you. It wants to churn the best out of you and bring it out during this Mahadasha. But before we understand that what is the Mahadasha going to be like and what are going to be the Antardasha effects of each of these 9 planets coming in this 6.5 year duration, we must understand that what Sun would want you to experience. See, I would want to take the facet of the soul or the king. What does the king represent? The king represents rule. The king represents service to the entire nation. The king also represents sacrifice, because a good king is one who's ready to sacrifice. A good king is honest. A good king takes care of people. A good king thinks of others first before thinking of himself. A good king is vital to the growth, prosperity of a nation, of a country. These are exactly the traits that you have to actually bring out in your life during this period of Sun Mahadasha. Now, how would you do that? You need to also understand that it also depicts the relationship with your father. How strong or bad is it? Sun is a fiery sign. The natural sign of Sun is Leo. So of course it becomes very, very critical for the Leo ascendants. But Sun finds itself comfortable in the fiery signs itself. Leo is its own sign. It's exalted in the sign of Aries. And it finds itself very comfortable in the friendly Jupiter sign of Sagittarius as well. See, naturally, you'll find fire and air signs will amalgamate pretty well, while water and earth signs are the ones that gel together. And there is a logic, a reasoning, a thought process that I want to instill in you guys, because you don't need to go to any astrologer to find solutions or fixes to your life. If you start understanding what your planets are suggesting you through the knowledge, through the information that I'm sharing with you, you will start ruling your planets yourself. So these three fiery signs of Leo, Aries and Sagittarius are extremely good, well-placed signs for the sun. What other signs does it do good? It is comfortable with the Aries signs as well. It's very comfortable with Gemini. It's the sign of Mercury and it is okay there. Sun is also comfortable with the sign of Scorpio. I know it's a water sign, but it's a friendly sign of Mars. It is exalted in Aries, right? So it is comfortable there as well. But Sun gets debilitated in the airy sign of Libra. It's the sign of Venus. Actually, Sun does much better in the sign of Taurus, of Venus's sign. But there are two reasons it gets debilitated in the sign of Libra. One, it is the sign of Venus. And two, it is west to itself where it's exalted. What do I mean by that? If you see the Kalpurush chart, Aries is the first house and 7th house to it, bang opposite, 180 degree opposite to it is Libra, which is where Sun sets. So does it mean that people with Libra Sun are going to face a lot of complications? To a certain extent, yes. But will they not be successful? I disagree. And you have many examples. For the followers and lovers of cricket, Virat Kohli is the best one. He is a debilitated sun. Sun is comfortable in the other sign of Jupiter as well, which is Pisces, but it's a water sign, so it doesn't do that great as compared to what it does in Sagittarius. Sun is not very comfortable in the earth signs, so to speak. So Capricorns and Virgos, Capricorn, again, sign of Saturn. Aquarius, another air sign, sign of Saturn. Taurus, as we already talked about. These are the signs where Sun doesn't find itself best placed. But when we try to understand the impact of Sun Mahadasha, we have to take care of few aspects that I'll call out. The first one being, you need to see which sign is it placed in. Who is the ascendant? Which ascendant is what we're talking about? The third aspect would be that which house is it placed in? And then you have to combine these 3-4 entities and also see that the lord of the sign where Sun is placed, how is it behaving? These 3 to 4 combinations in your chart, and if you can prepare your chart using any free software available on the internet, you will be able to understand the magnitude, the strength, the dignity of Sun in your life. It will also help you understand broadly, at least get a perspective as to what sort of Mahadasha will Sun provide you. But guys, remember, the planetary impacts do not work in isolation. They work in what as we call as yogas. Means the combinations of all planets across your chart, across all the houses come into play to give a certain impact in your life. It's like a space-time continuum. Once I had discussed in my last video as well. I think in my Ketu video I talked about it. So, it's the time aspect from a Mahadasha period that we have to understand that how time is going to impact. And the position of the Sun, the location of it in your natal chart gives the space aspect of it. So, without further ado, we will try to understand that what happens in this period of Sun Mahadasha and Sun Antardasha, which is the very first Antardasha that you will encounter. It's a short period of 4 to 5 months where what we find is that Sun is coming in. It's walking in right after the Venus Mahadasha to expand the impact of what Sun wants to do. Any of the Mahadashas will have the first Antardasha of the same planet itself. We talked that in Ketu. We discussed the same thing in Venus, and now it is Sun. In this first Mahadasha and Antardasha of Sun, you will realize that there will be some definite increase or at least disruption across all the aspects and attributes of Sun that I've discussed with you. So if you have a strongly paced Sun in your chart with good aspects, not having much of a malefic impact, so to speak, you will see definite rise in your career, because Sun wants to show to the world that you are here to rise. You are here to grow. The king in you has to come out. The queen inside you has to come out. You have to shine in the world. So what Sun tries to do is create an environment, a milieu, a situation where you will see a definite growth in your career. If you are in a business profession, you see expansion. If you are in a job, you can expect promotions coming in during this period. If you are a student, you will see that there will be a definite rise in the kind of career path you're choosing as a student moving forward. Actually, if it comes in your middle ages or in your early youth, you will see it will be a more prominent impact, because the lessons that you're going to learn, it's going to expect you to behave more honestly, service oriented, caring towards others. Ketu Mahadasha had your hand like this. Venus Mahadasha had your hand like this. And Sun Mahadasha has your hand like this. I hope you understand what I'm trying to convey here. That's the difference in what you will observe in your mindset in this Sun Mahadasha period and Sun Antardasha as well. You can expect a definite improvement in your relationship with your father. And people tend to question, I already have a great relationship with my dad. I mean, what does it mean? Or I have a terrible relationship with my dad. What would it mean? Well, it means that your father will be more supportive towards your life, towards your life-changing decisions. He will have a positive impact in terms of suggestions, ideas, recommendations, advice that if you follow, you are going to rise in your life. You see that there will be a definite increase in vitality. When the Venus Mahadasha ended, of course, Venus Mahadasha did bring a lot of health improvement. But suddenly there will be this glow, this aura. It's not actually the glow, it's the aura that you will start carrying in this period. A lot of people talk about government relationships, jobs in the government, or any contracts in that space. How does that pan out, Dev? Well, it's not that everybody starts working in a government job. But imagine you're running a business and there are certain regulations that come into play which help impact growth of sales. There could be change in GST laws that might positively or negatively impact you. That's a simple example. If you have a bad position of Sun, if it is negatively impacted, you might face that suddenly got a traffic ticket, speed violation, or you broke a signal, a red light, and you've been issued a ticket. So you have to pay for it. That's interacting with the government, right? So those are the kind of associations you will find with the government if you're not in a government job. If you're in a private sector, you're running your own business, or you're into entirely some different things, you will have such kind of interactions with the government. And in a good Mahadasha period, in a good dignity of Sun, there will be positive interactions. You might get a refund back in terms of taxes, which is more than what you had anticipated. But the remedy to improve and have a high quality Sun Mahadasha period is that you are honest, that you're not trying to cut corners, for example, to save taxes. And I'm all up for saving taxes. All I'm recommending is do not try to evade taxes. You might make the right judicious investments to ensure that you are creating enough equity in your W2s, in your income tax returns, that the government is giving you the right tax rebates or tax benefits that are due for you. That is the kind of impact you're anticipating. So all in all, it's a very quick start. You will notice something positive, not a turbulence, but something positive that will come into play during this period of Sun Mahadasha and Sun Antardasha. Next comes the period of Sun Mahadasha and Moon Antardasha. Now, Moon is a water luminary. What does it mean? Moon represents your mind. Sun represents your soul. And they have to be connected. Mind is very fragile, whilst you are watching even this video, your mind might be thinking a couple of other things that you have to do during the day. Some things that you had planned and you could not accomplish, and you're spending time watching Dev Astrology's videos. But a good placed moon, a non-afflicted moon is what I would say in your chart, would actually be another tremendous period, because both luminaries tend to operate decently well together. And I've told this, in most cases, a moon is a beneficiary in most of the charts. It doesn't create problems unless and until it gets afflicted by a Rahu, Ketu or a Saturn. So what you would find is that if there were certain avenues through which you were not able to grow in the first period of Sun and Sun, in the Sun and Moon period, there is a definite promotion that you can see, a definite growth you can see in your career coming your way. Even debilitated Sun gives that. It does. And debilitation of Sun doesn't mean that you are going to underperform in life. It means that the king is not able to find the kingdom where he is placed. He has to go west to itself and go and establish its own kingdom, far away from where it is sitting right now. So even a debilitated Sun can have a great Mahadasha if the yugas in your chart are panning out well. So you need to see how those combinations are working for you. During this moon period, you will see that you will have some disturbance if the moon is afflicted in your mind, but you would still be concentrating hard to grow that kingly behavior, that royalty inside you. A lot of people talk about how Venus brings this attitude of wearing branded clothes and branded watches and all things branded in your lifestyle. Trust me, people, if you're watching this video, you know it. That it is the Sun Mahadasha that has triggered a different thought process, a class apart in your mindset post Venus Mahadasha. This is an extraordinary period, and the people who are watching this, they are going to resonate. If you do, please drop your comments here, because you know what I'm telling you. You might have had everything available from a financial standpoint during your Venus Mahadasha, but during the Sun Mahadasha, Sun Antardasha and Moon Antardasha, there will be a definite increase in your thought process that you want to, jump to the next class, evolve yourself to the next level, behave and act and think to the next level. And that doesn't mean that you want just branded clothes. It could as well mean branded clothes, branded perfumes and stuff. Or it could be simple living, high thinking. Your thought process will get elevated to the next level. That's the beauty of this Mahadasha. So in the Moon Antardasha, you would also notice that a lot of fringes, a lot of fringe situations that you were encountering where you were struggling, not able to find your way, were having that indecision in your mind, that would go away. You will have recommendations as a boss in your own organization. You will be giving the right suggestions to your team, to your subordinates. You would be actually favorites of your bosses as well during this period. And very interestingly, this is also a period when you will get blessings, benediction of both your father and your mother. So serving your parents, remember, king has to serve as well. Serving your parents is also going to be a very fruitful activity during this period. And all of this counts into good karma. See, I'm deviating a bit, but I'll tell you a very simple thing. Long time back, my father, gave me this example. That is there any way that you can repay your debt to your parents? They've given you birth, they've given you education, they've given you everything that you can think of in this life. Is there any way you can repay your parents or your mother for that matter? She keeps you in her womb for 9 months, 9 long months, and then that traumatic experience of giving birth to a child. But there is only one way you can repay your debts. When you actually pay it forward, you do exactly the same things and better for your kids. But Sun Mahadasha and Moon Antardasha is a period which you can successfully use to service your parents, to bring pleasures to their life, happiness to their life, help them accomplish their dreams. If you're in the right age, of your life, of course. If you're a teenager or if you're a kid, it's way too difficult to accomplish that. But if you're in the right age, this is the time to actually take care of them. And you will see results of that coming back to you in a much strong fashion. However, people who are having an afflicted moon must note that there are potential possibilities of you having certain kind of disputes at your home. These disputes could be related to land, property, money. But if that is the case, I would urge you to not get into intoxication of any form, like drinking, consuming alcohol, and things like that. Why? Because it harms your moon as well as it triggers negative impact from a Sun Mahadasha standpoint. Imagine a ruler who's always intoxicated. Would his nation, would his people appreciate, or would he be at his full strength to serve his audience, his people? No. So are you encountering any of those kind of challenges? And if yes, then you have to rethink and rework on those areas. Mars Antardasha under the Sun Mahadasha. Mars, as we know, is the commander for the ruler Sun. Mars is friendly towards Sun as well. And it brings a lot of energy and enthusiasm and madness in terms of trying to accomplish whatever it can. There is this burst of energy inside you and you want to accomplish so many things during this period. It's a short burst of 4-5 months again. And you want to accomplish so many things during this period that you're almost burning yourself. You will find that there will be certain concerns with respect to your health, related to your blood, related to your bones, that will pop up during this period. So the first and foremost call out that I have is that this is a period when you have to take care of your health. Very important, hypercritical. But it is also a time where everything related to Mars gets activated. Are you thinking about buying a new property? Are you thinking of acquiring a new land? Are you thinking of disrupting something in technology? All of those areas, and any measures that you take during this period towards activating your Mars energy, you will see that Sun will also support it, and vice versa. So your professional growth, your growth to give others, to take care of others, as I said a few minutes back, your hand is going to be like this, is going to increase during this period. You will be filled with tremendous confidence. Of course, all of us, we have our own inhibitions, our own fears, but this is a period when you will be, challenging yourself, pushing yourself to the hilt. This is also a period that any of your enemies who are trying to challenge you, create hurdles in your life, they are going to vanish. The Sun and Mars energy combined together is going to destroy your enemies during this period. But that doesn't mean that you go ahead and keep picking fights. That's also not what the Sun wants. But if it is legitimate, if it's the right karma, if it is the right call, the king has to win, and the king will win. So you will notice that there will be, this tendency to go ahead and do multiple things. Any kind of complications that you find in the projects, in the programs, or any kind of activities that you are undertaking, you will be successfully overcoming them. Investments made in terms of buying new assets are on a rise during this period as well. So if you plan anything of that sort, feel free to do so. Investments are going to be long haul, long term. And if you are able to stick to those kind of investments, you will reap the benefits in the Jupiter Antardasha, which is going to come, and I'm going to talk about it in a while. Sun Mahadasha and Rahu Antardasha. Well, this is a critical and tricky period. And you have to see the dignity of both Rahu and Sun in your natal chart to understand what is the sort of impact you can expect. If your Sun and Rahu are not conjunct or they are not having any kind of aspects towards each other, I think this will be a much smooth period. Why? Because remember, every time we try to understand the impact and behavior of planets, we need to understand the traits of those planets. What does Rahu bring? It's an illusionist. It's a clever planet. It's going to play its own tricks. It's going to try and confuse your soul. It's going to try and bring loss of respect. It's going to try and bring loss of dignity as well. And please understand, these are two different things. Loss of respect versus loss of dignity. Dignity is more of what you feel from your inside yourself. It's going to harm your relationships. It's a planet of expansion as well. And it can expand everything negative about you. Because Rahu, it tries to give, but it takes away as well. So what you would notice is that during this period, if you have a Sun which is afflicted by Rahu, it's going to cause certain turbulences. It could be a turbulence in your job. You were expecting a promotion, it might go for a toss. It could be issues with respect to government, as I said, getting traffic tickets. Or you could get into some serious legal complications that you had not anticipated of. And that's a big trouble in the Saturn Antardasha as well, to be honest with you guys. It could be loss of job as well in extreme cases. That is where we have to be extremely careful. And guys, if you've not had a chance to watch my Rahu Ketu transit videos, please watch that. Because you have to see the effect of any of these Mahadashas with both your transit and natal chart. But I would want to remind you that your natal chart will give 80% of the results. You'll have just 10 to 20% at max impact of these planetary transitions that are going to impact your life. So let's say you have a Sun sitting in 12th house. Means it gives you a lot of possibilities to work abroad, out of the place or the culture where you were born. And you have a Rahu which looks into Sun, not in conjunction but through its 5th aspect. So it's sitting in the 8th house with its 5th aspect, it's looking at your Sun. What does it do? During this period, you can see, potential risk of an accident. It's sitting in the 8th house of longevity. And that accident necessarily doesn't have to be fatal. It could be an accident where you bump your car, your scooter, your bike onto someone else's assets, and you get an insurance liability coming your way. Those are the kind of complications I'm talking about. You could get into a legal hassle, unexpected legal hassle. You might have certain ideas as to how you want to attempt a particular project. You were doing pretty well in the first 3 Antardashas, and you suddenly realize you take a call in terms of putting in a certain financial number in your project, which is not in alignment to what your customer needs, or it's against your own company policies, and you get into a legal hassle. Those are the kind of challenges you can anticipate. You could get into health related issues. Let's say if Rahu is sitting in the 6th house and aspecting through its 7th aspect to your Sun, you have to take care of your health during this period. You have to connect the dots, open your natal chart, see how it is panning out for you in your Mahadasha. Also see how now with the transit of Rahu and Ketu, which is happening in October 2023, 30th of October, you will see with that transitory change as well, how will that come into play for you. And if ever in future, 3 years later, somebody is watching this video, please see the transitory planet positions during that time and how it's going to impact your natal chart. And then you can come to a final conclusion as to what sort of a Mahadasha or Antardasha period you guys are going to have. But let's say your Rahu is not aspecting or not in conjunct with Sun, then you can have a much more conducive period. It's not a great period because Rahu and Sun, they are not collaborative towards each other, but it's going to be much more conducive. It's not going to be as high risk, I would say. And if the dignity of Rahu is actually great in your chart, then things could work out better as well. Say Rahu is placed in your 6th house or in your 10th house. So from a health perspective or professional perspective or wealth perspective, if it's sitting in your 3rd house, like in the case of Virat Kohli. I'm sorry, I'm picking his example, but that's coming to my head right now. It's going to then be much more fruitful for you. And you will see positive gains and growth during this Antardasha period as well. The Jupiter Antardasha under Sun Mahadasha. Well, Jupiter and Sun, they love each other. Sun is the king, Jupiter is the guru. He's the guide, the mentor, the professor. So Sun heeds to the advice of the professor. The king listens to what the guru has to say. And when the Jupiter Antardasha comes in, you will see that all the efforts that you were putting in, if they had not materialized so far, this is the period that you are going to reap all those benefits. Jupiter is going to bring, that growth in terms of knowledge. It's going to give you spiritual upliftment. It's going to give you material growth in terms of your finances, money, profession as well. This is going to be the golden period of your Sun Mahadasha, so to speak. And even if Jupiter is having a debilitation in your chart, or it is a tough situation for Jupiter in your natal chart, yet you see that the two planets, the two friends, are determined to deliver positive results for you during this period. As long as you're honest, you're following your karma, you are actually being the king. Remember, king doesn't mean that you have to just rule. The king has to be of service. The king has to sacrifice. The king has to take care of others. The king has to be that big brother, which is you, the native. So you have to be that caring, that responsible, honest, determined, confident person. And if you've been walking that talk, you will see that the Jupiter Antardasha is the period where everything will fall in place for you, irrespective of the dignity of both of these planets in your natal chart. And some of you who are experiencing this during the Jupiter retrograde, oh my gosh, you're up for a gala time. In fact, I will be doing a series on retrograde planets as well and talking about the impact of them in our chart and in our lives. But hopefully you do derive a sense. This is also a period where you could be making the right investments in terms of gold, jewelry and things like that. Because you will be getting in fame, you will be having the right sense, the right knowledge to multiply the assets that you have in place. Jupiter will help you actually get fame and recognition as well, which is what I talked about in my thumbnail. So this is the period where you will get a widespread fame in your life, in whatever profession, whatever field you are in. And forget the profession. If you are a homemaker sitting at home, you will gain respect of your family members, your kids, your elders. They will say that yes, my daughter-in-law, my daughter, my son-in-law or my son, he or she is taking care of family in the right way. You might actually treat someone so well and gain a lot of respect as a medical professional during this period. Do a series of surgeries and help people heal. Those are the kind of impacts that you will see in your life. You will be having a very fruitful period in terms of any kind of auspicious events as well. So if you're planning to get married, tie a new knot, welcome someone in your family, expand your family as well, all those things, they turn out very positive during this period. So I hope if any of you watching this video is running Sun Mahadasha, you're having a great time during this Jupiter Antardasha. The headmaster is back. Saturn Antardasha in Sun Mahadasha. Now, if you guys know, Saturn is the son of Sun. S-O-N of S-U-N. And they have not a great relationship between them. So what happens? Well, Sun is not comfortable with this Antardasha, and Saturn is there. He's a brat. He wants to teach you some lessons. He wants to bring that justice in life. But all is not so bad during this period. Remember, though the behavior of these two planets are different, but the expectation of both is similar. Both Saturn and Sun expect you to be disciplined. They expect you to be honest. They expect you to be just. They expect you to be kind. They expect you to be taking care of the downtrodden. Because Saturn represents the lowest rung of the society, the blue-collared people, the blue-collared employees in your organization. Sun represents the king, but the king is as great as his kingdom. So while a lot of videos that you will watch, they will talk about the animosity and the enmity between Sun and Saturn, I am telling you a mantra where if you start to understand these planets not just as planets, but as lords who are trying to give you certain lessons and expect you to behave in a certain way, if you read it in that fashion, you will automatically know what are the remedies. So I think a lot of you would have guessed it by now. The remedy in this period is to be of service to others. Serve people in your life, and you will be surprised how amazing this Antardasha can also be. If you have an afflicted Saturn, yes, there could be certain challenges that might come your way. You might be thrown off the table in terms of not anticipating, that this is the last thing that you had expected to pop up in your life. But if you've been following the right path, and if not, even if you today start taking the right judicious decisions, you will see that this is going to be one of the best Antardashas for you after Jupiter Antardasha. And I'll give you simple examples. What do you mean by service? It's not always that you have to go in an outside world and start doing philanthropic activities. It's okay if you cannot feed poor people. It's okay if you cannot donate, money to charity. That's fine. Do you have a female in the family who's getting married? Can you be physically of service in terms of actually taking actions to help organize that event? Are you running around distributing, invitation cards for the wedding, or arranging for catering services, or are you, making sure that the people who are coming to the party, they are taken care of? Simple example. Within your family. At work, are you just taking an extra, going an extra mile? You've done your job within your job description. Are you actually helping somebody in your organization who is on PIP? And can you help them learn something new? Can you help them in their job so that they can save their job itself? That is service. You're being the king. You're sharing your knowledge, helping somebody come out of a difficult situation. You're a student. Are you actually helping another student learn some new concept? It's okay if that person is also a competition for the competitive exam that you are appearing in. It's fine. But that good karma is going to come back to you. It's going to stick with you. Saturn is going to be so happy if you do that. And so is Sun. This is the remedy I've told you. So how would it pan out? You have to see again the gravity, the dignity of Sun in which sign is it placed in Capricorn sign itself. And then you have the Saturn Antardasha, and you are, let's say, a Taurus native, Taurus ascendant. So you have to see all of those moving parts in your chart, and based on that you have to understand that what would work best for you and how you need to tackle this Antardasha. But mostly I have seen that people have auspicious happenings during this period as well. Under very terrible circumstances, they might face problems with respect to any kind of litigation. legal issues, any kind of loans coming their way, and turbulence from the lower rung of the society. You're running your own firm, hopefully you're not facing strikes from your blue collared employees. If you are in a MNC, your reportees, they are not conspiring something against you or not comfortable working under you. So as long as you're able to manage the attributes of these two planets and address them, you will have another great Antardasha of Saturn. What next? Mercury Antardasha under Sun Mahadasha. Well, Mercury is not exactly a friend of Sun, but we need to understand what are the traits of Mercury. It's a fast moving planet. It's the closest planet to the Sun. It is called out as the prince amongst all planets. It's a planet that represents your analytical skills, your business profession, your educational acumen, your ability to learn new skills, and youthful energy. It represents comedy, it represents laughter. So this is a period where you will find that there will be a lot of that youthful energy in you. You might want to do things in haste. Remember when we were back in school, we would get a certain mathematical problem and we would just know that, yeah, I know how to solve it, and I would just want to attempt it as soon as I can. And when you see your checked answer sheets, you would find that you made a very silly mistake in that particular question that you knew so well. It has happened to all of us, I guess. It's the Mercury. It's the Mercury that brings that haste in you. So if you are running a Sun Mahadasha with Mercury Antardasha, irrespective of the dignity of Mercury, whether even if it is exalted or in its own sign in a happy position, still you will have to practice some caution. Do not try to rush into things. Just take a pause and see how good or bad things are shaping up in a particular situation. How do you need to make the right calls, the right decisions? And that will help you sail through. You will realize that if you have an afflicted Mercury, this is a critical situation to be in, because that could result into a lot of financial losses in terms of business decisions. In some cases, as I told in the Venus Mahadasha as well, it could bring loss of respect as well, and that is because of your relationships. It could be an illicit relationship, or it could be a relationship where you are not playing the part that is meant to be. It could be a relationship with somebody significantly younger than you, because that is where you would be attracted. And I'm not just talking about romantic relationships here. Any kind of relationships, when there is a gap, the dignity of Sun will fall, which is your soul. It will fall if the Mercury is afflicted. Are you able to relate the dots? Are you able to connect the dots as to how I'm trying to explain it to you? None of the videos that you'll watch will give you this kind of insight. So I hope you are able to think and trigger your thought process based on the traits and behaviors of these planets in association to the Mahadasha or the time axis of your Sun. Then comes the Ketu Antardasha under Sun Mahadasha. Now this could be a very, very tricky situation like that of Rahu. Ketu tends to cast an eclipse on Sun. It brings loss of dignity. It brings disrespect. Most importantly, it might alienate you in the same circle where you were a king. It could bring loss in terms of job, profession, or any kind of relationship. Ketu Antardashas are always tricky, guys, unless and until Ketu is in a good affliction of Jupiter, good conjunction of Jupiter. Else we have to be very, very careful in Ketu Antardashas. Mahadashas we've already discussed. Now what happens in this period? See, Sun has been giving you the power, the strength to shine. Not everybody can wake up 4 a.m. in the morning, 5 a.m. in the morning and follow a certain schedule. That's not what discipline is all about. Discipline is all about regularity. Discipline is all about consistency. Discipline is all about being honest to what you commit to yourself, to your soul. A lot of the times we say it's my own soul, my conscience will give me the honest answer. So Ketu is the planet which is going to come and test that whether or not you're doing it. If you're a night person, typically people who have debilitated sun, they are more active, or I should say they are more productive working at night versus working in the morning. So if you have those kind of situations, are you being honest to yourself? Are you actually, if you're committing to yourself that I'm going to slice and dice my daily routine in XYZ activities, and it could be anything. As a homemaker, it could be taking care of your kids, spending time with your spouse, finding some time for yourself. Are you able to evenly break it? As a parent, are you giving sufficient time to your son and your daughter? Are you spending time with your family? Are you giving enough respect to your profession? Those kind of karmas are tested by Ketu. And if you pass in those areas, you will have again a decent Ketu Antardasha period as well, because Ketu just wants to remind you your karmic debts. If you have Ketu and Sun conjunct together, it can be a very, very interesting situation. See, Ketu represents flag as well. So with the Sun, it could actually take you to immense heights of gains of fame. That's a possibility. And fame in any direction, you can go either super materialistic or you could go super spiritual. That's your choice. Both routes are very much possible with these Rahu and Ketu situations. Well, Venus is exactly not the friend of Sun. Sun is debilitated in the Libra sign. Sun is not so comfortable in the Taurus sign as well. So when Venus period comes in, it is a period of conflict. It's a conflict because Venus represents luxury, Venus represents all pleasures of life, and we've talked about it in detail. I would urge you guys to please check the Venus Mahadasha video if you've not seen it. But what happens during this period is that there will be contradictions in how you take or how you execute things. You have that behavior of royalty, so you would want to spend, and Venus likes to spend. But the caution is that you do not become a spendthrift. Go ahead and spend more than what you're capable of. Venus brings auspicious events. It's also a sign of health. But an afflicted Venus or an afflicted Sun can actually give turbulent results with respect to your health situation as well. You can encounter problems. Chronic diseases are bound to actually increase during this period. What do I mean by chronic diseases? Things like diabetes, right? If somebody has had a heart attack or any blood related issues, they are going to come back in some shape or form. So you have to take care of health during the overall Sun Mahadasha period, but especially in the Venus Antardasha. It is also another period like that of Jupiter where you can actually tie a knot. Lot of possibilities of people getting married during this period. There is an increase in fame as well if both of them are working in close coordination. You might earn respect of the people in your family and in the wider spectrum. This is a period where you will see that your income can also grow if you are making efforts towards the houses where Venus is sitting or Sun is sitting. So imagine if it is Taurus, it's a much good period in terms of accumulating wealth. If it's a Libra period, you might not be hesitant to actually explore business possibilities, business associations, new business avenues for yourself. So all in all, guys, this is my analysis of Sun Mahadasha and its Antardashas. Hopefully this has given you much more clarity towards what you guys are going to be facing during this period.